because it's a part of the Wolf Levels Pro
I
dash
thought
T.
I did, but maybe I didn't. I'll have to go back and check.
Yeah, so with the Wolf chart, there's two indicators. You got the Wolf chart, and then you have Wolf Levels Pro.
Okay.
So if I take this off, you see it takes off
Right.
all my.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. So I probably didn't turn that on.
Yeah. But see, for like these supply and demand zones, so on the arc confirmation system is built for us to get into these early reversals. Now we'll see how critical that is if we look at the moving averages, like the 200, for example. If I put the 200 on, you see how even when we're under the 200 with the arc confirmation and you're coming out of a demand zone, so you only thing you want to make sure of when you plan it is when you're in a supply zone or near, very close to a supply zone, these are when you get the really, really good returns. Like when I have
Big
returns, it's like
moves.
80%, 100%, 300% wins. I'm playing these supply zones and I'm playing these demand zones. But this arc confirmation is allowing me to get in early, even if I'm under my 200. So if I'm under my 200, remember the stock is in an overall bearish trend, right?
Hmm.
So if I'm under my 200, my target automatic, I'm not trying to get up here. If I'm under my 200, all this is going to do is take me up to my 200, and this is where you take your profit at. Because since you're under the 200, remember it's going to act as dynamic resistance. Okay, so when you're under your 200, you can run this play up, and then you can, exit here, take profit. And when it cross over, you can run it back down and exit before you get to your demand zone. And so you get in multiple trades until you get to big move. And once we get back above the 200, you see when the moving average gets fully above it and we're pushing up, we get closer to those bigger moves. But it's going to help you get in and out of your trades early with your early entry trades. This wolf trend moving average. So, and when we add our 12 back, so when all three of them are on the chart at the same time, you still have, your dynamic support with the 12 and resistance. But we use this 200 and 12 for our breakout confirmation system. So what we just covered with the arc confirmation, this is the arc confirmation to get early entries. So you see how we're way up here at the top of the reversal and we're getting in earlier than everybody because we can see the confirmation sooner than other people see it. Okay. And so the breakout confirmation that we use the trend line. So you have to have the trend lines on your chart for the other confirmation. So this is the confirmation. This is the floating candle confirmation system. And so with this one, I'm gonna just turn off the arc. I mean the wolf trend moving out so you all can kind of see this one. This is another confirmation system. It's easy to see the pattern, and it has three conditions that has to be met. Okay, so with the floating candle confirmation, the trade always happens after the trend line. So you see these diagonal lines right here. So this is a green diagonal trend line. And this trend line here, they only come from these big sell-offs. So you see how we pushed all the way up, we rejected at our resistance line, and then the stock dropped all the way down from 438 all the way down to 406, right? See that?
Yep.
$32 drop. And it created this trend line pushing down. So the reason why this breakout is a powerful breakout is because once you have a sell off like this at a high like that, it creates a diagonal resistance on the chart. So when the stock price starts to push back up near it, we reject it back down. We pushed up to it again here, and it rejected at this trend line again with this green candle. Then you push down again. Then we had this really nice green candle that pushed up. But we know when the stock is about to go up because we want to see a very strong candle. We want to see a candle dominate this trend line. And we know it dominated because the wick of the candle and the body of the candle will open and close above that trend line without no part of that candle touching it. Okay. So we're looking for a candle that's dominant. And so in this confirmation, we want a candle that does that, but we want it to at the same time open above the 12 EMA. Okay, so and this is what creates our floating candle. So we call this one right here the floating candle because this candle right here this little small green candle right here is floating in between the 12 and this diagonal trend line without touching either one of them. right? So the three levels of the confirmation work like this. When we're getting into calls at level one, we just want to see that smart money or these billionaires, we want to see their money under where the trade is. So you see with Microsoft, they have a bunch of money under here. They have a bunch of buy volume. That's why every time it comes down, if we zoom out, every time Microsoft comes down into this money, uh, so they started back here, they pushed down to this money, this green money. They pushed back out, came back down to it, bounced back out, came. It's just been bouncing out of this little range for quite some time now. This has been going on since May of last year, right? So they just keep coming in here, bouncing out of this buy zone, and smart money keeps buying them up in this range. All right. So now Microsoft is back down here in this same money, right? And so we can see here when they bounced out of it, we just want to see at level one that we have smart money buying Microsoft, and we know that by the evidence of these green zones. And then we also want to see that the overall trend of the stock is bullish. And so we know that because our 200 is going to flip to this yellow color. This at level two, we just want to make sure that this 12 EMA is blue. And then at level three, we want to get the floating candle. We want to see a candle open and close above the trend line and the 12 EMA without touching either one. So from a color perspective, so not even thinking anything technical, you want to see green money right here. You want to see a yellow 200, and you want your 12 to be blue. So you want to see green, yellow, blue, and then you get to when you get past this trend line, you want to see a candle open and close above them. And so the reason why this pattern is so good to look for is because if you go to like even like the weekly time frame and look for that same trade setup, it's gonna always be the same, even when you get into leaps. Like we come back in Microsoft history, we got green money, a yellow 200, a blue 12. We get a candle that open and closes above this trend line and that 12 at the same time without touching either one of them. And that's a good swing up to these higher targets. But these are weekly candles, so this thing is running up for like months after that confirmation. Then you come back here, you got green money, yeah, yellow 200, a blue 12, and then you get this floating candle here, and you're able to push up for weeks again in the stock. So it's a simple pattern to look for, and you look for that same pattern even if you're down on a 5 minute time frame. I know Microsoft's being bearish, so it's probably got more put examples. So we'll look for puts first, but it's the same thing. So we can look for the put example first. The puts are the same exact confirmation, but from a bearish perspective, you want to see this red money, which represents sale volume from these billionaires. You want to see the 200 flip to this red color, right? You want your 200, this yellow 200 to be bearish and red. You want your 12 EMA to be red. And then you want to see a candle while you're under your 200, you want to see a candle open and close under the 12 and this trend line and without touching the 12 or that trend line. And so we couldn't take the trade back here because why? The 200 is still bullish, right?
Right.
So we want to be under, we want everything to be red for this momentum breakdown. And you see, once the reason why this is powerful is because you're getting so many confirmations before you enter into the trade. You got your overall trend is bearish, your short term trend is bearish. You got a sell signal up here. You got bearish institutional investors selling and dumping the stock, and so we're just participating in that rundown, right? And so this is the trend line break or floating candle confirmation system. And so whatever time frame you get on, that's what you want to look for puts. You want to see that you're under your, you got red money sitting up here, you're under your 200, and you want to get all these different other confirmations like the 12 being red, the 200 red, and you want to get a floating candle under this red trend line. So we see it again right here for puts. All these candles, you see how they are like hugging that trend line.
Mhm.
And so we finally got a red candle here, and then we get our drop down to this target right here. You all have any questions about the trend line one?
No.
Making sense so far.
Okay. Okay. So The other thing that I want you all to look at is very important to when you can kind of start getting really good at your trades. So I'm taking off some of the moving averages in the buy zones and just get a look at the chart.